Hi and welcome back to The Books Are Everywhere. So this is the start of a vlog that is not a weekly reading vlog. This is my first ever, I think, challenge vlog that I have done alongside other weekly reading vlogs. So I don't know how this is going to go, we will see, but my plan for this video is I am going to be reading 6 books and I'm going to be updating you my thoughts and feelings probably just at the end of when I've finished each book. I may give you some thoughts and feelings in the middle as well if there's something that really jumps out at me and I feel like I need to say it to you in this vlog, but I would think I will try and keep it to updating you at the end of every book. And the books I'm going to be reading are the books that Mark bought me in a video that we did together before Christmas, which I will link down below, and that is, he bought me some books basically kind of for Christmas, and then he wrapped them up and I unwrapped them on camera and reacted to them. So I'm going to be reading those books in no particular order, just the order that I want to read them, I guess. And I'm going to show you what those books are now, and then we will start them, go through this video, and I hope you enjoy watching. But the first one I am going to read, because I know I'm going to pick this one up very soon, probably today, that is Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabrielle, Garcia, Marquez, and I'm very excited to read this one. This is one he picked for me to read because he likes it, not because he thinks I would have bought it myself, which I like that he did a mixture of that as well. And this one follows Fermina and Florentino. Fermina has rebuffed the hopeless romantic Florentino's impassioned advances and married somebody else instead. It's half a century later and Florentino has fallen into the arms of many delighted women, but has loved none other than Fermina. Having sworn his eternal love for her, he lives for the day where he can court her again, and then Fermina's husband is killed, so Florentino seizes his chance to declare his enduring love. But can young love find new life in the twilight of their lives? So very excited to read this. This will be the first one that I read, so I will update you once I have finished it. It is not that long, it's 350 pages, but the text is very, very small. So I don't know how long this is going to take me to read, but looking forward to reading it. I haven't heard of this one before. I've heard of his other book, which I think is a little more famous, which is 100 Years of Solitude, but I hadn't heard of this one, but it sounds really interesting. I like that it's a romance, and I wouldn't necessarily have bought it for myself, so I will update you once I finish this book. Very excited to read it. And then as we go on this video, we have 5 centimeters per second, which I'm extremely excited to read. This is a manga by Makoto Shinkai, and I'm not going to tell you what this is about because I'd like to go into it blind, but this was also made into a movie, and with Makoto Shinkai's other work, I have always watched the movie before reading the manga, so with Your Name and Weathering With You, and for this one I want to go into this manga first, see what I think of it, and then watch the movie. So I'm going to read this one maybe after Love in the Time of Cholera, and we will see what I think of this one. And we also have Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, which I have never read, which probably shows that I never went to secondary school because I think a lot of people read this in secondary school. But yeah, I've never read this one. I've read East of Eden and I really, really liked it, but I never picked up this one. It is very, very short. A few of books on this list are very short, which I appreciate. And this one is the compelling story of 2 outsiders striving to find their place in an unforgiving world, and I feel like this is going to make me cry. I've heard that it's really sad. I kind of know that there's going to be something happening, but yeah, looking forward to seeing what I make of this one. And then we have another short one, which is Neil Gaiman's Coraline, which I've also never read. I've read one Neil Gaiman book, which was The Ocean at the End of the Lane. I read that last year before me and Mark saw it in theatre. We went to the West End production, which was absolutely amazing. I really loved the book as well, and Mark thought this one would be a good one for me to read next because I have never read it. And this one follows Coraline, and it says, there is something strange about Coraline's new home. It's not the mist or the cat that always seems to be watching her, nor the signs of danger that Miss Spink and Miss Forcible, her new neighbours, read in the tea leaves. It's the other house, the one behind the old door in the drawing room. Another mother and father with black button eyes and papery skin are waiting for Coraline to join them there. They want her to stay with them forever. She knows that if she ventures through the door, she may never come back. I know that this might creep me out, and I also think there is an aspect of dolls, which I do not like dolls. Like, they're one of the things that really creep me out in like horror films and stuff. I will not watch films if they have dolls in them. So don't know how I'm gonna find this, because I think I might be a bit creeped out by it, but I am excited to read it. So you will see my thoughts and feelings later on in this video. I also feel like I kind of matched this with my eyeliner, and I have purple dungarees on. And then the last two books, but I only have one because the other one is high up on my shelf and I haven't bothered to get it down yet. But that is Crossfire and Endgame by Mallory Blackman. These are both Noughts and Crosses novels. Mark did actually buy me Endgame, not realising I hadn't read Crossfire, so we got Crossfire because I've read the first 4 books in this series because I had them in a box set, and I never carried on with them, so Mark bought me these 2 so I could finally finish the series, and he got me a beautiful signed hardback edition of the last one. I'm not going to tell you what happens in this one or the last one because it will spoil the rest of the series for you, but I'm sure you guys all know because Noughts and Crosses is incredibly famous. But it follows Seffi and Callum, who are crosses and noughts, and basically the premise of this book is, what if white people were the less privileged ones, the ones that were looked down on, and black people were the ones in power? And it kind of reverses what we know of the world today, and especially did 20, 30, 40 years ago. But very excited to see where this series goes because it's been a while since I read the others, but I never completed it, so we will see where this book goes. I feel like it'll be really interesting because I think both of these were published quite a long time after the original books, so I don't know if that's going to change kind of the writing style or anything, but we will find out later in this video. So those are the 6 books I'm going to be reading in this video. And yeah, I hope you enjoy following me. I will be back at some point, at some time, to update you on my thoughts and feelings of Love in the Time of Cholera, which will be my first book in this video. So hello, it is about a week later since I last updated you and introduced this vlog, and as you can see I'm at work. It is a Tuesday, so I introduced this vlog on a Monday. It's now Tuesday the following week, and the reason I haven't updated you guys is because I have not been making much progress with Love in the Time of Cholera. As much as I am enjoying it, this book is very slow. The writing is incredibly tiny, which means I feel like I'm reading it very slowly because I would usually read like 2 pages a minute. This is probably more like a page every 1.5 minutes, so it feels very slow to me. And even though I just want to stress, like, this doesn't feel slow when I'm reading it. It is more like looking back on how much I've read in, say, 10 minutes when I'm reading it half an hour or whatever, and I feel like I should be much further on than I am, which is also not helped by the fact that this has, all of the chapters in it are 50 plus pages long. There is only like 5 chapters in here and it's 350 pages, so there's not many chapters at all. And yeah, the one I'm currently in the middle of, it's like 60 pages long, so it's definitely not helped by that. So what I've decided to do is actually break this up by 25 pages a day, which I'm finding a lot easier to digest. I don't find it so daunting, so I was finding it very daunting to read, and then I just wasn't picking it up because I was finding it so daunting. So I am going to be reading this for another 8 days, so my plan is to start another book in this vlog alongside it, which I think will be Coraline, but I was going to do that the other day and then Gallant arrived and I started reading Gallant, so when I do start reading Coraline I will do another update. But I am really enjoying this book, I must say. I really like the writing, and I feel like every time I read it I feel so involved and enveloped in the story, and I just feel like I'm right there with the characters, which I really like. And I must say, like, as I said, I really want to stress, like, reading this doesn't feel slow because you do feel so involved in the story. It is just the fact that, like, it's physically a lot slower to read than what I normally read. But yeah, really enjoying this so far. Love the writing, love the settings, the characters are really interesting to read about. I'm looking forward to seeing where this is going. It kind of jumps back and forth in their lives, and we've kind of gone back to Firmina and Florentino's like kind of childhood, but also like teenage years and when they first met and things like that. So very interesting, very much enjoying it, but I am struggling to get through it. So 25 pages a day, but I'm gonna also pick up something else alongside it once I finish Gallant because that's what I'm currently reading alongside it. So yeah, I will update you soon with an update of what I'm going to also read alongside this, and I will also update you when I finish this book, which will be sometime next week if I keep on my trajectory of 25 pages a day. I have another 8 days of reading to finish this one, so it will be next Wednesday, but I will keep you updated on that, and I will speak to you soon. Hi, it is Monday. So it's been 2 weeks since I started this vlog, I think, and I still haven't quite finished this book, but I will finish it tomorrow, so I will give you some more comprehensive thoughts and feelings then. But I'm feeling very, very torn about this book right now. It is interesting to read, and as I think I said along the way, I am absolutely loving the writing and I feel very enveloped in the story. But there is just some things that have been said and things that have happened which I can't really let go of, and I'm finding that I'm not enjoying the book as much because of it, and I'm finding it very hard to kind of pinpoint why these things are being said and why these things are happening. So I'm not quite sure how I feel, but I will wrap this up properly once I've finally actually finished it. But I'm going away for the next few days to Mark, so I don't think I'm going to really be filming all that much while I'm there. So I thought I'd just pop on now and say I'm very nearly done. I'm very torn on how I feel, because I love the writing, I love the setting, and I love the way that the writing envelops you and the pace of it. I really like that. I really like a lot about it. But there is also some very problematic things that I don't really know how to quite feel about. So I don't know, very torn, but I will give you more thoughts and feelings soon. But because I'm about to finish that, I'm actually going to take 3 books that will also be featured in this vlog to Mark's with me, because I don't really know. I want to read these 2 first, but this is a manga and this is very short, so I don't know if I'm going to get through them very quickly. This is also very, very big text and it's kind of like a middle grade, so don't know if I'm going to get through these while I'm there and then want to start Crossfire. So I'm going to just tell you a bit about these now, and then I will wrap them up when I get back if I've read them and things like that. So this one is about Coraline, who has moved to a new house, I think with her parents, and there is another house behind the old door in the drawing room, another mother and father with black button eyes and papery skin that are waiting for Coraline to join them, and they want her to stay with them. So this is, I think, about dolls, which dolls really creep me out, so I don't know how I'm going to feel about this, but I love Neil Gaiman's writing and really want to read more by him, so I am excited to pick this one up and see how I feel, but I know it might be quite creepy. I don't know if I want to watch the movie afterwards because I feel like that will creep me out. But then there's also 5 centimeters per second, which is a manga by Makoto Shinkai, and I'm not going to really say what this is about because I want to go into this fairly blind, because I haven't watched the film of this and I've never read a Makoto Shinkai manga before watching the film, so I'm doing it the other way around, reading this one first and then watching the film. But I want to go into this with very little information, so I am not going to say much about this, but there will be a link down below to the Goodreads page for that book if you want to find out more about it. And then Crossfire, which I also won't say much about because it is the fifth book in this series. But I feel like I told you about all these books at the start of the vlog, so I really should shut up thinking about it. So, you know, I probably explained to you about noughts and crosses like 10 minutes ago in your world. In my world, that was 2 weeks ago and I can't remember. But I'm gonna go now, and when I get back on like Thursday or something, I will wrap up whether I've actually read any of these books while I've been gone, and I will see you then. Hello, I am here to say I have finally finished Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabrielle Garcia Marquez, and I have such mixed feelings about this book. I am so disappointed I am so torn with how I feel. I wouldn't say I enjoyed this book. However, I've been talking to Mark about it and he also said he wouldn't necessarily say he enjoyed this book, but it is one that has stayed with him for a very long time, and I can completely see why. I feel like this is one of those books that you read and will stay with you and will make you think about love and life and loss, and relationships and sex. And I think there is a lot of kind of thought-provoking moments in this book and things that go on. However, there was some things that happened that I just feel like I cannot look over. The first one being, there is so these two characters, Florentino is older than Femina, and earlier on in their lives he is kind of stalking her from like across a park, for one. And Mark did Google and he is 3 years older than her, and I think she was 14 at the time and he was 17, around that. She's in high school anyway, so that's a problem. And then later on there is a sentence about consent, and how basically, I can't remember what the exact sentence is and I should have written it down when I read it, but it says something about that when you're with a woman and if you've been with a woman and had sex with a woman, then they can never truly say no to you, they just need to be persuaded, which is very problematic. And then there was also the fact that he had a relationship with a 14-year-old girl when he was in his 70s. And although there is more reflection on that and that is discussed more in a problematic, he knows it's problematic, he knows he's done wrong, it still feels very strange to read about. And I just don't know, because I get so confused with these kind of characters that I'm like, am I meant to like him? Am I meant to feel sympathetic towards him? Am I meant to hate him? And if so, I found it difficult with this one because I feel like there's no one else to root for. Like, I find with characters that are morally grey or the characters that I don't like, I don't often get on with a book if there's a character I just didn't like, and I feel like that's what's happened here. But if there's a character that's morally grey or I'm confused about, then if there's another character that I can root for, I can kind of overlook that. Whereas with this one, there's kind of no other character. Like, he is the main character and he's the only person that you really focus on, and the other people you focus on are so fleeting or so they dip in and out so much. Like, you've got Femina there, and Femina is referred back to throughout this entire book, but you just don't really know enough about her to actually root for her. And I think that's why I felt so confused, and that's why I feel so torn. So I'm going to rate this one 3 out of 5 stars. I think there's a lot to like about it, and I can definitely see why it was one that stayed with Mark for so long, and I think that is why I'm not going to rate it lower, because I feel like it's definitely thought-provoking and it definitely will stay with me for a very long time as well. I also just don't know where I stand, don't know how I feel, and I feel like I'm very confused, and for that reason I feel like 3 stars, kind of middling, but I did like it in a lot of ways and for a lot of things, is a fair rating. I would really like to read 100 Years of Solitude, 100 Years of Solitude by the same author, which I feel like is his more prominent work. And I would also like to say, obviously I don't know what's come across in the translation as well, and this is translated by Edith Grossman from Spanish. So obviously, like, the one line about consent, I don't know whether that's a translation thing. The other stuff, I think that would have come across, and I must say the translation is beautiful. I feel like there is so many passages of this book, you could pretty much stop anywhere and it would just sound absolutely stunning. It's beautiful, it's lovely, it's so well written, and I love the kind of setting, and I feel very enveloped in the story, and that is another reason why I'm not going to rate it that low. But yeah, there is still a lot of problems that I just couldn't overlook. But anyway, I was talking to you and my phone filled up with storage, but anyway, I finished that and I'm going to read Coraline next, so I will update you when I finish Coraline. Hi, it is actually only the next day, so I'm getting better at this vlog, and I know the last time I spoke to you I said I was going to start Coraline, and I have started Coraline and I'm about 65 pages in, but I've actually already read 5 centimeters per second. I just picked this up randomly earlier today. I actually have a day off today, and I just picked this up and thought, I'll just start this. I'll just read 20, 30, 50 pages or something. And I just read the whole thing. It took me about an hour. It is a manga, so It is very easy to read, and I knew it would be very easy to read. It is just over 450 pages, and I just sat down and read it. I just couldn't put it down. Literally, once I started it, I was like, I just want to carry on. I want to know what happens. I don't think I've ever read a manga this big before in one go, because any manga I've read have been like very, very short. So I didn't know quite how long it would take for me to read, but I'm going to read you the back because I know I didn't tell you what this was about before I read it because I wanted to go into this blind, but this one is actually based on the film, which I'm very excited that I'll be able to now watch very soon. And the back of the book says, remember a time before cell phones could be found in every pocket, or when even accessing the World Wide Web was something only readily available in a library. Back then, letters still filled up post boxes, and moments just felt so much more precious when captured on Polaroid film. Now life seems to move at the speed of light. Our memories are captured and shared with the world on social media platforms, and love, which is already capricious, can feel like it is moving at terminal velocity. And this is said to be Makoto Shinkai's defining work, and it's a love story. And essentially, that is all it is. It is a love story. It is about love, it's about romance, it's about pining and longing and crushing. And there is really nothing more to it than that, but I absolutely loved it. I always love Makoto Shinkai's work, and I think I really wanted to go into this one not knowing what it would be like, having not seen the film, not read the light novel, if there is a light novel. I know there's a light novel of Weathering and of Your Name, but I'm not sure if there's a light novel. I think there is. Or maybe there's just another manga, which is 5 centimeters per second, one more side. So it's either a manga or a manga or a light novel. Yeah, it's a light novel, novelization. So I think it's a light novel, but I might read that at some point. Well, I definitely will, because I just love this and I'm so excited to watch the film. And as I said, like, there's just nothing more to it than that. It is just about love, but it is so beautifully told and so beautifully illustrated that it just made me cry multiple times, which Makoto Shinkai always manages to do. There is just something so visceral and real about the way that he describes connections between people that I just completely resonated with these characters instantly and how they were feeling, and I just loved it. So very glad I've read this. The only thing I'm not sure about how it ended, but I also feel like I might just be confusing two of the characters, so I need to watch the film to see whether it's actually just me, because I feel like they different people call the same character different names in this, and it took me a while to kind of get to grips with who was who, if they were being referred to in a way that I wasn't expecting. So it might just be me, but I just absolutely love this book either way. So very happy that I picked this up and just read it all in one go. Enjoying Coraline so far, and I will update you when I finish Coraline, and then I will also maybe try and read Of Mice and Men today, because have a day off. Why not? We can do this. Hello, it is later the same day and I have finished another book for this video. So I only have a couple to go now, really. This is Coraline by Neil Gaiman and I've been reading it for most of the day. It is a very short book. It's like 190 pages and the text is quite big. This is aimed at children, young adults. We shelve it in teen at work, and I think that's probably because it is quite creepy, but I would say it's more kind of like a dark middle grade, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. It's so whimsical. It feels very Gaiman. Having only read The Ocean at the End of the Lane, he has this really whimsical way of writing, but what I love about his writing is it just feels so centered in the real world, and it feels so grounded, even though it's very whimsical and it's very magical and mystical, and in this sense very creepy, because this Coraline's like other world that she travels into contains some quite creepy stuff, including her parents with button eyes like dolls, which I do not like. But I really enjoyed it. It was a great adventure, and it faces so many kind of, and it talks about so many things. I feel like there is a lovely author's note in the start of this book that says about how Neil Gaiman has known so many people carry this book throughout their lives and kind of have difficult times where they've just thought about Coraline and the bravery that she has to kind of find in herself to face the things that she's facing and the courage that she has. And I feel like a lot of people will kind of resonate with her. I definitely resonated with her and would like to carry her bravery and her courage with me into situations that I find hard, just as Coraline found situations she was in very hard and scary in this book. And I feel like it has a lot of metaphor to it, which I just really enjoyed reading it. I'm glad that this was my next Neil Gaiman book and I really enjoyed it, so I think I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars. And the next book I'm going to pick up is Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. This is literally 105 pages long, I think, which 106 pages, and I've heard that it's quite sad, but I'm hoping that I will read this over the next 2 days, hopefully finish it tomorrow, because it is so short that I doubt it's going to take me that long to read. The text is a little smaller, but it's not like tiny, like it is small in comparison to having just read Coraline, but it is not like absolutely tiny, so I'm gonna read this. I've read East of Eden by John Steinbeck and I really enjoyed it, but it has been years since I read it, so it has been a long time. And I've never read Of Mice and Men, which is quite surprising considering it's a very famous piece of work, and it's probably his most famous piece of work because it is used in GCSEs here a lot, but I didn't go to secondary school, and honestly I think that's probably why I haven't read that book. But I'm gonna read it tonight, tomorrow, and I'll update you when I've finished it. Hi, please ignore my wet hair and this, whatever this is. I've just gotten out of the shower, but I have an update for you. I finished Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. It is the next day, by the way. I think I recorded yesterday. Did I record yesterday? It might actually be 2 days later. But anyway, I started this last night and I finished it this morning. It is a very small book. It's just over 100 pages and it does have a 15-20 page introduction as well by Suzanne Schillinglaw, which I also read and gave an interesting kind of history to not only this book but also Steinbeck's work in general. But anyway, I love this book. It has been years since I read anything by Steinbeck. The only book that I've read by him is East of Eden, and at the time I absolutely loved it. It was around 3 or 4 years ago. It must be, yeah, 3 or 4 years ago when I first read it, and I really loved it at the time, but I've obviously not read anything by him since, so it feels like it's been a while, and I was a little hesitant going into this to whether I would still have that love for his writing, but I really do. Lenny has learning difficulties, but obviously in this day and age this is set in the 1930s. It was written in the 1930s, so is it set in the 1930s? I am not sure. I think it is, but anyway, it's following them and it is just so sad, but so well written, and I feel like I am going to struggle to define how I feel about this book because it is really hard to kind of pinpoint what I loved about this one. It is really sad, but it's also really touching, really kind of, I won't say heartwarming because that's not the right word for it, it's more heart-wrenching, but in a very beautiful way. It talks about compassion and friendship and caring for those around you, but also the struggle between caring for those around you and caring for yourself, I guess. It's very hard to describe, but it is absolutely beautifully written. I found it very easy to read. Obviously this is a book that is nearly 100 years old, just over 80 years old. I think it was published in 1937 originally. So yeah, it is just over 80 years old, but it does read very easily, I think, and that is something that I liked about East of Eden as well. And I feel like the same with that book. I could never really pinpoint what I loved about it so much, but this just felt so heavy when I was reading it, and when I finished it as well, it just feels very kind of emotionally weighted, and I really love that, and I think it's really hard to describe why, but I'm sure many of you, if you've read this, will get what I mean, and it was just beautiful. And if there is any of you out there who haven't read this, go and read it because it's very accessible, it's very short, but it's very beautifully written and handled. I think it's handled really, really well. And thank you, Mark, for buying me this book and knowing that I would love it. So thank you. I feel like sometimes he knows me better than I know myself, because I could have picked this one up much earlier and something's been stopping me. So thank you for picking it up for me. So the next book that I'm going to move on to is Crossfire by Mallory Blackman. This is the 5th book in the Noughts and Crosses series. It is 400 pages long, and if I want to finish it within the month of February, I need to finish it tomorrow. So I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I do think this is going to be a super, super quick and easy read, and the writing is quite big as well. I feel like it's almost going to read like a middle grade, like a young teen book, so hopefully I can read this one very quickly, and then I will just have Endgame to read before we can end this video. So we're doing well. I feel like we're on a roll now with the past kind of week or so. I've read a lot of the books in this list, but I'm going to read this and I will update you probably in a couple of days' time when I finished it. Hi, welcome to about 2 weeks later, maybe. I don't actually know how long it's been. It has been a couple of weeks, or maybe like 1 to 2 weeks since I last updated you, and I've actually realised I don't think I updated you when I finished Crossfire, because me and Mark went away and I read this when we were away basically, and I don't think I actually updated you when I got back, and now I've started Endgame, so I thought I definitely need to update you on what I thought about this book. I actually really, really liked this book. It's definitely a like 3.5 or 4 star. I think I gave it 4 stars in the end. This one was just really, really high intensity, action-packed. It was so quick to read. I read 350 pages of it in a day, which is like a good chunk of this book. I think it's around 400 pages. So I read it over 2 days. Also, this is really floppy, which I love. But yeah, really enjoyed it, I must say. Really looking forward to seeing like what she does with the last book. I think you can definitely see how this series has developed as Mallory Blackman has been writing them in the past 20 years. I think it's been a long time since Noughts and Crosses came out. I'm not sure how long it's been exactly, but it is really, really cool. It also was really interesting to see some kind of like new perspectives in this one. There was one thing that really hit home for me, which was using WAME as an acronym, which was like white and I can't remember what the word for the like region was, but it was white and something minority ethnic, and it was just kind of that like flip on how we use BAME and how that acronym can be so, I want to say belittling, but belittling's kind of maybe the wrong word, but it is kind of belittling, like the fact that we reduce people to an acronym when there is so much more than that. And I think it was just so interesting to see it highlighted with white people, and I think that was really well done, and it really hit home for me how much we are still facing 20 years after the first book was published, and how it's still kind of such an issue in the Western world. So yeah, Mallory Blackman doing an amazing job as always, talking about racism and flipping things on their head, and I think that was just handled really, really well. And there was just so much I loved about this book. I think it was really, really good. I'm glad that Mark actually bought these for me, because I have been enjoying them a lot more than I expected, and I did start Endgame last night. I'm already 50 pages into this one, hoping to read another at least 50 pages tonight, and then hopefully I will get through this one fairly quickly over the next few days, because it didn't take me much time at all to read Crossfire. So I will update you on this book once I finished it, and this series once I finished it, and then I can wrap up this vlog. So hopefully I will be able to do that in the next clip. Next time you see me, I will be wrapping up this vlog. I will speak to you soon. Hi and welcome to the end of this vlog. I know it's been probably a month or more. It's been more than a month. It's been nearly 2 months since I started filming this vlog. It has definitely been nearly 2 months. I think I started this at the start of February. I am now near the end of March, so yeah, it's been a while, but we are here. We reached the point where I finished all of the books in this video that I intended to read, which was 5 books. So we had Love in Time of Cholera, we had Crossfire, Endgame, Coraline, and Of Mice and Men. Feel like that's 5 and I feel like that's all of them. But yeah, I've read all of those finally, and I feel like I've had a pretty good experience. I really liked a lot of these books. I loved Of Mice and Men, really enjoyed Coraline. Loving the Time of Cholera is the only one that was like a bit hit and miss, but all of the others I really enjoyed. And I've just finished Endgame last night, so I will just give you my full thoughts and feelings on this one to wrap up the video. But overall I really enjoyed this. I'm actually really glad that I finished this series, because I don't know if I said at the start of this video I wasn't necessarily intending on finishing this series, and then Mark bought me the last 2, so I did, and I'm actually really glad that I did, because I really enjoyed the last 2 books, and it was super interesting to see how Mallory Blackman has gone back to this series after so many years of not writing. I don't know when the last of the original 4 came out, but I feel like there was quite a chunk between that one and Crossfire, and it was just super interesting. I couldn't help but reflect throughout reading Crossfire and Endgame that it had been over 20 years now since Noughts and Crosses originally came out, and the way that racism is still weaved into this story is just so shocking and sad, how much it resonated with me and what's going on in the world now. Just to the point of even like stuff that's happening in this country. There was an article in here, so this is broken up with different points of view and also like newspaper articles, which I think was the same for Crossfire. And there was a newspaper article in here about there was a family on TV in an advert, and the whole thing was that they I think it was Noughts, but I get so confused to which are the Noughts, who are the Noughts and who are the Crosses. But yeah, it was just kind of saying that Noughts can still kind of shop in supermarkets and do all these normal things, day-to-day things. And I might be wrong in saying this, but I think that is a commentary on a supermarket advert that we had in the UK, not last Christmas, the Christmas before, where there was a black family celebrating Christmas and shopping at a certain supermarket. It was for a supermarket, and it had a lot of backlash, sadly, and I have a feeling that that piece in this book was a reflection on that supermarket advert. So yeah, I feel like this really hit home for me, and I just have so much admiration for what Mallory Blackman does in the way that she's really weaved racism throughout the series, but kept it so entertaining, so fast-paced. And another thing about this book is, like, at the end of this book I was realising that I was reading like mystery plot points that had been going on for over the entire book and into Crossfire, and I wasn't bored and I wasn't feeling like it was too long. This one is nearly 500 pages and I was still interested in where it was going and what the reveal was going to be, which I also think is really admirable. I think I'm going to give this one 3.5 stars. I gave Crossfire 3.5 stars as well, just because although I really enjoyed them both, they weren't like new favourites. And there was definitely some points, like with the characters, I don't necessarily feel like I connected to them. There was something really sad that happened in this one and I just didn't really feel that emotional about it, and I think that's because these are so kind of plot focused and kind of this like mystery focus, and you just want to know what's going on, which I love. And because you get so many different points of view, you don't necessarily spend that much time with one character, so you don't really connect with them that much. That's how I felt anyway. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who felt very differently, because this is a very long series that has been in my life for a very long time and will be in other people's lives for a much longer time. I just didn't necessarily get that connection, that emotional connection, but I still really enjoyed it and really enjoyed the series overall, so I'm really glad that I've actually finished the series now. So thank you, Mark, for not only buying me Crossfire and Endgame, but also buying me all of the books that were featured in this video. this was such an interesting kind of thing to do, to get Mark to buy me books and then see if I actually enjoyed them or not, and I feel like we've done quite well. I feel like I've enjoyed the vast majority of books that he bought me, and even Love in the Time of Cholera, there was so much that I actually really liked about it, and it's such an interesting book that I know will stay with me for a very long time. So yeah, thank you again to Mark for being a part of this project, for buying me books and indulging me with these videos. I hope you enjoyed seeing this. If you have enjoyed seeing this for whatever reason, whether it's that you like a themed vlog or you like that Mark bought me books and I saw what I thought about them, please let me know in the comments. I would love to do similar things in the future, and I will see you next time with another video. Bye.